So we started Ois Dalet. The shaylas that remain unanswered about Neiros Chanukah are that why must it be lit before or after Shkia? Can be lit before Shkia, and then the lights continue to illuminate the darkness. He pointed out in answer to most of the questions, all of the classic questions, that what sets apart Neiros Chanukah from all other mitzvahs, and even though it was established to recall the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash, it was established in very differently, uncharacteristically of the way the Chachamim are masaken their takonas, which always conform to the same rules as the original Deiraisa. In this case, they don't, because here the purpose is to illuminate the darkness outside. Unlike the Neiros in the Mikdash, it's a different Inyan, it's a higher Inyan. That answered most of the questions, but doesn't answer why you can't light it earlier, and it'll continue to illuminate the darkness. It also doesn't answer why it must be placed on the outside. It could be in the inside, and its powerful light, its powerful revelation will illuminate and attract the sparks, just like happened by Shlomo, and even more so because we're saying that this is even higher than the Beis Hamikdash. But it's interesting to note also that he spoke about Shlomo HaMelech. He made a distinction between his tenure and the Beis Hamikdash. Shlomo himself is HaMelech Shasholem Shaloi, already radiated this revelation, and even more so in the Beis Hamikdash. I don't know if that distinction is made anywhere else.
Didn't he mentioned that also, I think, in the previous mimer, that the fact that Shlomo was great was even before.
He didn't separate that between that and the Beis Hamikdash. It was one Inyan. No, it's two. Like it's making it clear. It's two Inyanim, two Dargas, or two Inyanim.
Okay.
At any rate, so Eis Dalet began. Let's start again. Even the back to Mashakosa Viducha Hashem Kol Masech v'Chasedechi V'Chucha. So the first part of the pasuk speaks about acknowledging God, and the second part drawing God down, bracha, done by Chasedecha. An acknowledgement, this goes on to say, means a level that's higher than definition. Terab brought in the Maimar of Pada B'Shalom, which we said, Yitis Kista, which the Rebbe said, that this, so the connection between the first half of the pasuk and the second, the two separate inyanim. All your works will acknowledge you, your Hasidim will bench you. But it's one inyan, because what level are your Hasidim, referring to all Jews, drawing down, a very lofty level. What's that level? Beyond creation, beyond the system of creation, beyond the attributes. That's what they are drawing down. It cannot be related to through any kind of intellectual grasp or appreciation, but only a recognition, acknowledgement. Maybe a better word for Hidah. Yeducha, that's conveyed by the word Yeducha. And that's why only the Inyan of Chasidecha can be mamshich. Such an Inyan, is there to draw down from such a place. And moreover, b'ofen de bracha, not as a request, but as a given, a bracha, dafka, that's only in the capacity of this Inyan of Chasidecha. What is that? So in order to understand this great revelation, and the reason it's only the Inyan of Chasidecha that can draw down such a level, and in a way of bracha, to understand that, he prefaces the Rebbe Rashab and the Maimah, the distinction between bracha and tefillah. Each one has an advantage over the other, and that is, the bracha is Tefillah is a person down here beseeching God. He's davening down here, mevakesh, and requesting that heaven respond. Whereas bracha, the starting point is the opposite. It's from above to below. The one who grants the blessing, that's not everyone. It's one who has the ability to give the bracha. She obviously stands above that place where the bracha is now being issued. And he draws it down. And that's why bracha is conveyed in the way of a command. You shall be blessed. Since the one who gives the bracha stands above the level that he is bringing down, he can command it to come down because he's a loftier level. That's the mile of bracha. The mile of tefillah is the bracha. Bracha can only unlock that which is present in the source and not something new. Why you need a bracha? Explain, because it could get blocked for a host number of reasons. But tefillah is a request. Even if there isn't ashpa determined in heaven. So it's not even, it seems to be saying, not only is it coming down but got blocked, but it's not even there in the market. You hear the distinction? Huh? I think that the maamar that I have, that I'm learning from at home, has the word gum in brackets, which makes it clearer. The point that I'm saying, that even if there's no hashpah lepel, because it's just not coming down to the person, it got stuck in the higher floors. But even if it's not even in the market, it's not even in the source, not in the cars at all. And even more than that, what is there is the opposite, a decree, and a decree means not negotiable. A decree that the person, God forbid, should be ill, God forbid, or the like. What's the mind of tefillah? May they be drawn upon the person a new revelation that goes beyond the system that determined he should not or have otherwise, and change it. It's not change, it's just, it's more than change. That's why we say in many tefillahs, they actually begin with the words, may it be your will, because it's not there at present, before the tefillah. The piddush, may there be, and you will, even if it's not currently there. And on the contrary, you have willed otherwise, decreed otherwise. So this is the ma'ila of the bracha of who? Not stam, but chasidecha. Because chasidecha, where they drawing down and commanding the bracha, it's not from the system. The system means you deserve, you don't deserve, and heaven determined you do not deserve. That's the system, and they're justified. But the place of Haidah is a place that's not a justified revelation, not a seichel dikar revelation. It's a level of Hashem that's totally beyond values. Haidah. That's where they be mamshech. Yeducha, from that level. It's a level that we simply acknowledge gratefully, but we cannot justify. The bracha zush, they are miles, so therefore in bracha there's two miles. Number one, where's he drawing down? From the level of Yeducha. Chasidecha, drawing from beyond the shtalshalus. So all of the rules are just irrelevant. The rules of being deserving or not. So this bracha is actually the mile of tefillah, and you will. And nonetheless, in that sense, it's like tefillah. But nonetheless, it's not tefillah, which is bakosha. It's a request, it may not be fulfilled. The answer can be no. But rather, al bracha, it is. It's a given, but derech tzivah, it's a command. That's the maila of chasidecha yivarchucha. What level are they being mamshich? The level of Yeducha, with which the pasuk began. This is like it says in the Gemara Yishambala pasuk. It says in the pasuk in Iyuv, Pashup Shat the pasuk Vatigzer Omer Vayakom. You will decree, and it shall happen. God will fulfill what you say. But the pasuk says Vayakom Loch, it will be fulfilled for you. So it seems, first the Yerushalmi, I'm pretty sure, say this, that why Loch? You're trying to say to him that tzaddik decrees, and it's Vayakom, God will establish Vatigzer Omer, what you decree to say. So we're talking about you. So what's the Loch? Says the Yerushalmi, the diak is for you. What's the word for you? God says this way. But you, the tzaddik, the yid, says otherwise. God says you, what you say will be established, will happen. And what I say will not happen. That's the dik lecha, even when it contradicts what I say. Which is the point that we're saying here. This is the pshat of the mile of Birchas Chasidecha, that even after there's been a decree that there should not be ashpah, the person doesn't deserve it. He abuses it. Whatever the cheshbon is. God said such and such. Nonetheless, the Msheches ashpah. So how does that happen? Because a new Ratzon is being elicited from God, created by who? By the Yid, by Chasidecha. That's the Ma'ale of Tefillah. And yet, not a request. As the pasuk says, you said as a fact it should be like this. So God responds with derech hamela from a place of a Ratzon Chodesh. This is all to explain in more detail the mile of what? Chasidechi v'chucha. More detail than the Vater V'Sholem. It continues. Vaderech B'Sed the Zoya. There's similar. This he brought to the Maimer. Sherashbi himshich yitzak shom ma'ademiras Torah. So there was once no rain, and the Rashbi said Torah the pasuk in Matoivin, rain fell. Even though in order rain should fall after the decree, heavenly decrees that should not be rain. So that is Adem Shachas, that requires Amshachas Ratzon Chodesh, an entirely new will of God. He affected it. Through saying Torah, it happened as a matter of course, not as a request. So that's the same Inyan. That's the pshat Yeducha. They will acknowledge you. That's the darga of Lamayde Mishtal Shalus. That cannot be explained or justified, but Yeducha, Pasha, it means you love us in a way that we don't deserve. It can't be explained. That's what Yeducha means. That's the Pnimius, the Lamayde Mishtal Shalus. And the Chasidecha V'Chucha, and it's dafka through Chasidecha, as we'll go on to explain. In order, this Amshocha, which is a given, from where? Yeducha. Who can achieve this? It's the Inyan of Chasidecha, as we'll explain. Hey, this is something, it doesn't mention what's coming now. It's completely not in the mind of Pada B'Shol, even though this is a Hemshech. How fortunate are we that Rebbe's Magia leads to my more. For Tzorich Lav, we have to understand there's three dargas. Chosid u'lamayne mitzadik. Chosid is higher than tzaddik. Like the Rebbe Rasha brings in Terab, Ein Beis. He speaks about the four dargas of tzaddik, Yosha, and Chosid, which our Maimer, it seems later, will explain. And he says the Yosha l'mayla mitzadik. Yosha is higher than tzaddik, and footnote 35 tells us, see Rashi in Masechta Tainis. The Gemara there says, talks about tzaddik and Yosha, that the tzaddik L'osid Lavoi will merit light, but the Yasha, Simcha. No, what's the pasuk? Oizol Atzadik Ula Yishrei Leiv Simcha. And it's going, a light is implanted, seeded for the tzaddik, and for the upright of heart, Yishrei Leiv, there is joy. So the pasuk is going in ascending order. The Gemara is saying that the Yasher is high, and Rashi points out that Yasher, upright, is higher than tzaddik. What's the hesber? We'll see in the Maimer. And Chosid is higher still. Chosid l'mayla gam Yasher. All right, fact. So from above to below, tzaddik, righteous, Yasher, upright, Chosid. So what's the Rebbe's question? What's the tzaddik l'havin? The fact that the pasuk identifies who can be mamshech this darge dafke chasidecha mashma, the inference is to achieve all that we're talking about as a command that achmamela as a given for believe akasha without requesting it, and from where me'amaka shaboyayda, which is a level that can only be acknowledgement. In some shamani mishtalshalis beyond the whole system, the inference is that who can do that? Only chasidecha. Shalamayim mitzadikim. A tzadik can't do that. A tzadik can't affect this. Tzarich lahavin. Harigam b'negel tzadikim omar azal. The Gemara says explicitly in Beit Cotton. It's in Medrash, very famous. Hakadosh Baruch Hu goyzer v'tzadik mevat. God decrees, and a tzadik nullifies it. So you can say, well, he could just nullify the decree, but he can't be mamshech and yurotze. Yes, veifan bitl gzeidahu. And the way of the bitl gzeida is loy al yedei bakashas atzadik, not through a request, al yedei atzivuy shaloi. He commands it. Yedei shum etzavish et is bat lagzeida, mizbateles im emela. He commands it to be decreed, and it's decreed in and of its own immediately. Which, of course, if tzaddik Moishe, the Yiras Elikit, the simple meaning of the pasuk is it's a pasuk in Shmuel that the tzaddik rules, governs with the fear of God. The fear of God is what guides him. But the bays, probably not of the pasuk, it's added. Appreciate Azal. The deeper meaning is Shatzadik Moishe, that he rules on Elikim. Moishe b'kadosh baruch hu levatas gzeira yisaf. He overrules God and nullifies his decrees. Okay, so my point that I said he nullifies. What about the new one? I guess that's obvious. If you nullify the decree, then if you're there to nullify it, then you're there to make a new dots. Pashtas, okay. Maybe that's why he says l'cha'ira, because it doesn't spell out that he makes a new dots. But l'cha'ira, shegam b'amshacha sh'ayidei tzadikim yesh na shtei ma'alis hana. That not just the chassid, but the tzaddik has these two virtues, shamshachim yamakim, that where's he drawing down from a place she'ein shei b'asaga la'idah, where it cannot be grasped, but only acknowledged. In some shalamayim mishtachas beyond the system, and shamshachim misham. And what does he draw down? How does it come down? Rather, layadei bakasha, not as a request, but derech tzivui amali de bracha, not as a request like tefillah, but a tzivui, a command, which is what bracha is. So if a tzaddik can do that, and we have our shayli, masha chasid vidu Hashem chasidecha v'chucha. And this that he says that who a mamshech this the madrege v'chasidecha mashma, the inferences shamshach bay from the bracha and baknish beyada, to bring down the bracha from that level. No, it's not tzaddik. Because chasidecha dafka why? So you have to understand that why that is. Vav. Now comes the beer. Yes, the Vai is, this is all from Pada B'Shalom still. It seems like it's Pada B'Shalom just with greater nuance depth. Let's go further. Yes, the Vai is up here, we'll understand this in light of that which the Rebbe Rashab continues to explain there. So, in other words, what is our objective to understand what is this Darga of Chassid? So here's the key. Who is a chassid who deals kindly with his master? So that's the big shift. That the avodah of the chassid is not for self at all. And the tzaddik is driven by he wants to be close to God. I was speaking yesterday, 2 days ago, to high school girls in Mesivka. So why do we serve God? So I was kind of struggling with the answer to the kids. And then one girl said, and to be closer to God. So I said, what if you don't care to be closer to God? There was a stunned silence because yeah, life is fine. Maybe it's not, but being closer to God's not what I'm looking for. We're holding now Erev Geula Mamish, where that indeed, that answer just doesn't cut it. The answer to, but you won't be closer to God. You won't get Gan Eden. You won't get good bugs. You won't get a good job. You won't get a good shidduch. The answer is 3 words. I don't care. What's a child looking for? A child is looking for, Hashem wants to be connected to you. This is right now. Hashem is saying, please, you're everything to me. I want to be part of your life. Please take my hand, let me in. That's why mitzvahs. I'm chasidim koilai. Our generation, this is the paradox, because there's no, see, if there would be giluim and experience abounding, I want to feel what he's feeling, but there's no gilui. Etzem. And what's the etzem? Etzem is Nisav HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that talks. That talks, that's the deepest essential truth. And it validates me right now. I want to be part of your life now. Not do this, you'll become one day, who knows what. It's like in Gan Eden. Everything happened instantaneously. Planted, you got it. There's no patience. This is a generation. Now, don't tell me what's going to bring to. Because instant gratification, the upshot of that is, don't tell me mitzvah safas chus and elam haba. Now it's a relationship with the God. Now it's a connection to Atzmos. Now you're talking. It's all because on the one hand, the lowness of the generation, but it's Atzmisdik Avodah. And it's the only thing that talks. Because that's the emes, that's the pure emes, the deepest kavana, higher than tzaddik, higher than yosher, chosid. Chassidim koinoi. The Eibishter Betzach is begging. All I want is you. That's the true self-esteem. That's empowering. That's the message today to our children, to the world. Nisava Kodesh Baruch Hu. What's that nisava? You're the nisava. You're the whole nisava. And so is your brother and your sister and every yid. Weiter. So that's the chosid. And that's another nuance. And now we have another level of explanation why chassidus was revealed dafka. And why it's called chosid. I'm just saying the word chosid. Everybody knows that the name chosid was given by the Misnagdim. They called Ashgacha Pratis, the new movement, the Chassidim themselves, the opponents. They gave that name. Should have been the opposite. We are the pious ones, and you this is opponents coming to undermine Judaism, Epicurus. They're the Misnagdim. But Hashem directed it. But why of all terms Chassid? It's many answers, but one is this: Chassidim Koine. That's what Chassidus is. They called him Chassidim in a derogatory. What they meant was sarcastically. because Chassid goes with the Fini Mishor Sadin, came along with all these Yidurim, but was till now it's not good enough, you got to do this, you got to do that. Chassid. So it was meant in a derogatory way, in a sarcastic way. But as the Rebbe said once, I need to think the video episode, the Rebbe Rashab, one of the Rabbi, that it's Vashgacha protest, Inyan of Chassid, it's Chassidim Koinoi, that's Chstakech Chassidus. And it's not, in the end, it's not a sarcastic, but Amos. So what's a Chassid? Says the Zohar, quotes the Rebbe Rashab, his avoid is not for himself, he should be attached. That's the avoid of the tzaddik. For the need of the one above. Like he brings in Tanya. The Rebbe Rashab explains, so this avodah, which is selflessness for the Eibishter's Wegen, for the Eibishter. So what level of the divine did they touch? The Eibishter himself, Kipshuta, Pnimius Atik. Pnimius Atik. It's going to identify that in detail. And this is why he's going to identify the levels now, that Chassid is higher than Tzaddik, and even higher than Yosha. Tzaddikim touch Chetzinius HaKesed, which is the level of Arich. So we're going to do the geography now, and then Hasbara. And then there's a higher level Yeshorim. Shalamaylim Tzaddikim, he was what? Mipnimius HaKesed Atik, but Atik Stam. Right? Arich, Atik Stam. And then third level. The Chassidim, Shlamarnim Yeshorim, and the Amshach of Chassidim. High then Yeshorim, Mipnimius Atik. That's the three dargas. Keser, Atik, Pnimius Atik. And explains that because the avodah is complete bittul l'maylim mitzias, beyond the mitzias, and not seeking gratification, connection, closest. There's no agenda, no personal agenda. Therefore, through thence they go beyond their mitzias, their self and their self need. Therefore, what level do they touch? They touch the essence of godliness beyond Hashem's revelation. It has already a tzir and an agenda and a revelation and an address. They touch the I am of God, Pnimius Atik. What's 42? Let's see 42. I didn't see it before. Gam Sichum Shabbos Kodesh Chavav Kislev Tafresh Ein Gimel. See the Verbringen of the Rebbe Rashab V'Shom. There he says Gam Tomim Olamayde BeYoshav. That there's a fourth level, that's Tomim, and that's higher than Yosha, but V'Chosed Lamayde Gam BeTomim. So there's a nuance here, Tmimus.
Isn't there a Hayoim Yoim?
It's Hayoim Yoim. He doesn't bring it. What doesn't he bring here? See Hayoim Yoim.
It was last week or 2 weeks ago.
Huh?
It was last week or 2 weeks ago.
What's that?
It was recently. It was recently the Hayoim Yoim.
Yeah. Well, would you think he'd bring it here in the order? And he says the dark, it's Tzaddik. The dark is that order. Yosher, Tomim, Chosid. They usually bring it in our order, so that if it's brought in Hayoim Yoim, they'll make that point. Interesting, why not? There's Muga also. What does it say in Hayoim Yoim? Just look it up again. Let's get the quote. Can you find it?
Yeah.
Somebody find it. It's also tzaddik is mitzvah saseh, yosher leis saseh. There's
It was Yud Dalet Kislev. Yud Dalet Kislev. It was last week.
Vidala Kislev. Okay, right. Okay, so say it. Say it loud.
There are Tzadik Yasher Tamim and
Huh?
There are Tzadik Yasher Tamim and Chassid. Tzadik regarding his fulfillment of mitzvahs aseh,
Mitzvah saseh, yeah.
and thereby eliciting.
You know, come closer to me. I'm going to show it to me. It's ricocheting in my head. Okay, so thank you. Yeah. So tzaddik is mitzvah saseh, eliciting revelations inherent in the creative order. Ishtalshalis. Yashar leis saseh. Beyond creative order. Tomim. That's yichud of Soivev Mamale. And Chosid, that's okay, there's more details there. That's basically the idea. Okay. So, Zeshem Razal, let's continue the next few lines. Zeshem Razal, this is now having identified Chosid's higher even than Yosha, than Tomim. Tzedakah la'aniyim, tzedakah is limited for the poor. But milas chasadim alone, pashut. Bein la'aniyim, bein la'ashirim, it's for the poor and the wealthy alike. The mizeh, the fact. Milas chasadim agam la'ashirim, that milas chesed is even to the ashir. Moving shechesed ulamai agam ashiris, that chesed is high even, I mean spiritually now, than a level that will be described as wealth, beruchnius. And what's that? We learned this the previous member, right? Mavayed, the Gimel in Inyan and Melo, that these things talking about right now, tzedakah, ashiris, and chesed, it's like, it's going to parallel tzaddik, yashar, and chesed. In Gimel Madreges, there are three levels. Baham shachos, the lamaila, in what is revealed above, where shtim shoym malchus drawn into malchus, which means in creation. So level one, it's tzedakah shemilich soren. Tzedakah fills the lack. The way malchus is natzilus, and the way the malchus is invested in biyah, this tremendous lack, that's a tzimtzum. So that's what tzedakah does, it fills that lack. They machserim, that the tzedakah is that we have to give, the obligation is to give enough to fulfill his lack. We're not obligated to make the poor man wealthy. We are obligated to address what he needs, what he lacks. So what is that dargil? This is revelation that Malchus it was connected to it to begin with, but it was kind of taken from her through the Tzimtzum. Tzedakah means restoring the lack. It's reconnecting Malchus to the higher levels of Atzilus from which she is a part of. That was a direct makabel before Raglea Yoda, her feet descend into Biyah. What darg is this? The Begil is it's the 5 partzufim, and one of them is Chitzonis HaKeser. Arech is drawn into the Ratzon Hashem. Arech, the articulated will, is drawn into Malchus. I think we'll stop here and we'll revisit it. Continue tomorrow. Everybody have a wonderful day. It's also the Jontif. Yutes Chav Kislev tonight is NTC's Fabrengen. We're looking forward to seeing you all.